Have you ever wondered if honey truly never spoils? It turns out there's a surprising amount of evidence to suggest that it really might not. In fact, archaeologists have discovered pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are thousands of years old and still perfectly edible. The most famous example comes from the tomb of King Tutankhamun, where a pot of honey was found alongside his sarcophagus. But why does honey last so long? What makes it so special? Well, it all has to do with a combination of factors that make it a very inhospitable environment for microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. These tiny organisms are the ones that typically cause food to spoil or go bad. But honey's unique chemistry deters them, allowing it to remain fresh for thousands of years. The first factor is honey's low water content. You see, when bees collect nectar from plants, it contains a significant amount of water, around 80% or more. But bees don't use the water in the nectar, so they fan their wings to evaporate it, reducing the water content to around 17%. This creates a super concentrated sugary liquid that is not only delicious, but also inhospitable to most bacteria. The thing is, bacteria need moisture to survive and reproduce. Without it, they quickly die. That's why a Snickers bar, which has about 2% water, lasts much longer than a piece of bread, which has about 40% water. A low water content is just one piece of the puzzle, though. The second factor is honey's acidity. You see, honey is naturally acidic with a pH of about 3.2 to 4.5 depending on the floral source. This acidity is due to the high concentration of sugars, which creates an environment that is very unfavorable for most bacteria. Most bacteria prefer a neutral or slightly basic environment to thrive in, so honey's acidity deters them. The third factor is hydrogen peroxide. Did you know that an enzyme in the bees' stomachs called glucose oxidase mixes with the nectar to create hydrogen peroxide? This enzyme is actually an antibacterial agent that helps keep the bees healthy by killing off any nasty bacteria in their stomachs. When the bees deposit the nectar into the honeycomb, the hydrogen peroxide remains and acts as a natural antimicrobial agent, further inhibiting the growth of bacteria in the honey. These three factors, low water content, acidity, and hydrogen peroxide, work together to create an environment that is inhospitable to bacteria, allowing honey to remain fresh and edible for thousands of years. Archaeologists have found pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are still edible today, thousands of years later. Talk about a sweet discovery. But is honey the only food that never spoils? Well, not quite. There are other foods that can last for a very long time if stored properly, such as dried rice, salt, sugar, pure maple syrup, and soy sauce. However, honey is the most famous and well-documented example of a food that remains edible for millennia. Now, you might be thinking, if honey never spoils, why do we bother with expiration dates on the jars? Well, while honey may not spoil in the traditional sense, it can undergo some changes in quality over time. The flavor and texture may not be as good as fresh honey, and it may crystallize or become too thick to be enjoyable. Additionally, while honey is very unlikely to make you sick, it could potentially support the growth of certain microorganisms that may not kill you, but still cause some discomfort. To be honest, though, these are pretty unlikely scenarios. So, the next time you open a jar of honey and enjoy its delicious taste, remember that you are consuming a food that has been enjoyed by humans for thousands of years. And who knows, maybe the jar you're re-eating from will one day be discovered by archaeologists, who will be amazed at how this golden liquid has remained fresh for thousands of years. Speaking of golden liquids, I think it's time for me to get back to work on my latest project, which I'm afraid I must keep secret for now. But rest assured, it will be something truly special. I've been working on it for a while, and I am excited to finally be able to share it with you soon. In the meantime, please continue to support the channel, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you for watching.